Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. This is Chart Chat. We wrote a book called Dashboards That Deliver, and this is Ask Us Anything. Let's go. All right. Hello, Chart Chat chums and Chart Chat attendees. It's fantastic to have you all here with us. As I say, this is Chart Chat number 63. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Yes, you can. So first, let's do some introductions. In fact, we don't need a slide for introductions, do we? My name is Andy Cotgreave. The hot news is I just left Tableau after nearly 15 years. So I'm now... I don't really know what I am now, but I'm very excited to find out what I'll be doing over the next few months and coming up with some fantastic new ideas. It's great to be here post Tableau. Amanda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda McCulloch. I'm a data viz designer based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I also had the existential crisis when I went independent of what do I call myself now? So I'm enjoying watching Andy try to figure out what to put on his tagline on his webinars and events. Steve, down to you.
Hey, I'm Steve Wexler. I am Chief Chart Looker-Atter at Data Revelations, and I have had an ongoing existential crisis for decades. So I can teach you about existential or give you whatever guidance I can. And with that, I will pass things over to Jeffrey Schaefer.
Hey, Jeff Schaefer here from the University of Cincinnati, where I teach in the Lindner College of Business, and I'm the director of the Applied AI Lab.
How's the existential crisis level with you, Jeff?
I don't know if it's existential. I think it's just always just crisis.
Audience, tell us how you're feeling today. Hopefully crisis level isn't DEFCON 1. All right. It's more than just chit chat. It's chart chat. I think that's the first time I've ever got that right. We started these shows after initially writing the big book of dashboards and having arguments all the time, which we decided to bring to life in Chart Chat. And we love input from everybody. You are encouraged to join the debate too. Perhaps the world is a bit too much debate focused these days. So instead, maybe we could try and all find some happy place in the medium instead of always taking extreme viewpoints. But either way, welcome along, and please add your comments down below or alongside wherever the comments are on your channel. Before we go too far, I do need to give you a warning. I am no longer using a Tableau work laptop. I'm now on my apparently super powerful gaming laptop, but it blue screens all the time. So there is it's all a bit of an exciting gamble. I might just disappear and vaporize out of the live stream randomly. If I do, my co-hosts will take over. It'll take me about 3 minutes to reappear as I reboot. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen.
Well, we're going to time you if it happens, Andy. We'll time you to your 3-minute window.
Time it, yeah. It happened. Yes, it's happened once today so far. But we're celebrating. Guess what? We published a book. Amanda's first, and for Steve, Jeff, and Andy. I'm Andy. It's our second book, Dashboards That Deliver. The first book was about visualization and design. This book is about framework, but we'll talk about that in a little while. It's been really good seeing reactions on LinkedIn. So thank you so much if you've bought the book. If you have, put your comments on LinkedIn, put your reviews on Amazon. That'd be amazing. If you want to find out more, dashboardsthatdeliver.com is where you can join our fan club. And there's some free resources for you to download, and there'll be more stuff added in the coming months. Olga, it is your post. I have. Thank you so much for your post. And Olga, great to have you on the channel. So today, we're quite excited because the agenda is Ask Us Anything. We asked for those of you who pre-registered, were there any questions you would like to ask the four of us? And we said anything. So we'll go ahead with those. We've got some of the ones that you put in registration. We've got some of those primed already, but you can type in your questions right now. So all four of us can see the comment stream. So if you've got any burning questions about anything, we will endeavor to get to them through this session. Quick note for regular viewers, there is no after party today. Unfortunately, we all have commitments straight after the hour. So no after party this time, but that'll be back next time. Alrighty, Chart Chat chums, are you ready for the first question?
Ready.
Thanks, Amanda. So Anne Stoltzman actually asked a longer question than this, but Anne asked, what are our favorite dashboards from the book? What are our favorites, and are there any that didn't make the book? She also asked, how many submissions did we get? And will we be at Tableau Conference 26? So, lots of questions, but let's start off with, what's your favorite dashboard from the book? Let's start with Steve.
Oh, okay. Well, there are 15 different scenarios from which to choose. There are also a lot of other things that we highlight that maybe we didn't build a whole scenario around, but let me share my screen.
I can see there's some good questions already coming in. Anne is asking who designed the cover of the book. We have that one already. And when you're ready, Steve, just share your screen. Keep going.
So I guess favorite is a weird word to use, but I like this one very much. And it's in our free download. You can download snippets from the book. The Children's Hospital Association dashboard from Lindley Betzenthal, Kathy Rowell, and Dan Benevento. From Health Data Viz. And I guess because it more than any other scenario embodies so much of the framework that we advocate in this book, and framework, really put together by and championed by Amanda and Andy. And there are so many different pieces of it that get manifest in this particular dashboard. There are also so many different techniques that you can use, even if you are not a consortium of 200 children's hospitals, that you can apply. And the compromises, the discussions, the debates, well, wait a second, why did you do this? And they answered and said, yes, you may be wondering why we didn't highlight these things and these other things. So there's so much good stuff in here that I think you can apply to your own work. And it really, every facet of the framework is manifest in this particular scenario. And that's why I like to cite this one, and would like to thank these people for generously allowing us to include this dashboard and the interviewing and the scenario around it in the new book.
Fantastic, Steve. Yeah, it's definitely, that one chapter is one of those that blurs the line towards data application, because it's extremely complex but remarkably deeply thought out.
Didn't Lindsay tell us how many different sheets were in that dashboard? Like, I mean, the spec count on it in terms of the number of sheets that go into making the data dense dashboard they have was just like okay, that's why that gets complicated.
Yeah.
And there's something like 21 different quote unquote dashboards, and there are many different personas. They interviewed over a dozen people. They broke this down into 5 different personas, and it's, this is what you need to go through if you're going to try to create something that people really use and get value from.
Amazing. All right, Steve, it's a good one. Amanda, what's your favorite?
My favorite in this book is our chapter from the team at NASA. So we included chapter, and I have a personal soft spot for this, in part because this big Hyperwall display that they built, which I'm going to pull up on the screen right now. This big Hyperwall display that you see in this photo, it's actually like, a 5-minute walk from my old house in DC. And so I got to go see it in person multiple times, which was fun. But this is the Earth Information Center from NASA that now has installations at NASA HQ in DC, at the Natural History Museum in DC, and at the Kennedy Space Center. And what I love about this chapter is that I think, I don't know who was on board with me from the beginning, but there was a debate about if this could be called a dashboard and belonged in a book that was leaning a bit more towards business dashboards. And I believe the comment was, when is anyone actually designing for a 20-foot long pixel dense display? Was that you, Steve? Was that Steve?
I'm happy to be the dissenting opinion as we get to this later. So please.
Well, dissenting opinions are welcome, right?
You don't have to say, I seem to remember someone. It's me.
It's generally Steve.
This is Taylor Swift week. This is it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Is that Steve? Is that your theme song? All right. So the thing we thought was important, though, is that there are pieces here of like, what is the relevance here? And point to the specifics bit where we give examples for each of these different pieces around what the dashboard does and then related scenarios. So what are different scenarios where you could use some of the ideas from this? And what I love is that they had a really great kind of approach, lots of sketching, lots of different things that matter. And I adore this chapter in part because of the fact that it has my favorite quote that probably is the most blasphemous of a dashboard chapter, which is from Mark Subarow, who's the SBS lead for the Scientific Visualization Studio, who said, "I don't care if people can accurately pick a number off the graph and decode information. If people are scrolling on their phone, I'm trying to get their attention." And in a world where there's such this like information economy that is so many things fighting for our attention, this probably isn't what you're going to build for internal decision making within a business or a hospital system. But the idea that we engage with data more and more in our lives, and that there are new and different ways people present their data in interactive, engaging ways, I think is so cool. And so I absolutely love the NASA example because I think it challenges the conventions of what we think of when we think of data displays. And my son liked to dress up in his astronaut costume and go hang out by it and go into the immersive space room that's right next to it. So I think I have some personal sentiments about this being a very lovely chapter.
Hey, in fact, hot off the press, for our Halloween chart chat, we should all cosplay our favorite dashboard.
Oh,
or maybe not.
So now people understand a little bit of what I'm dealing with here. Okay.
Yeah,
so Steve is showing up in scrubs so far, and I get to dress up as an astronaut, and so I think I win.
I'll tell you how I show up in a minute. So let's hijack the process, Jeff, before we go to you. Since it's here and we've just had that, NASA was an interesting one. So I just asked, would love to hear about where you had to agree to disagree to be able to move on. Writing a book with 4 people, everybody. It's for 4 stubborn, strongly opinioned experts in the same field. Steve, why didn't you want the NASA chapter in the book, and how did we resolve it?
Well, I felt that people would look at this and think, I don't see myself in this. I'm not making something like this. Now, there was enough in it, which, yes, but these techniques, the way they prototyped, iterated, met with stakeholders, figured out who their audience for this. I felt that there was enough that could be taken from it and applied to less ambitious projects. I've been doing this for a while. I have yet to work on a 30-foot hyperwall anyplace. So, and there's another question that went along with this, which was, were there any dashboards that didn't make it into the book? And there was one that Amanda had built and was working on, which was a attendance tracking dashboard, which I thought, oh gosh, so many people could use this thing. So at times I felt I was a Supreme Court justice with a dissenting opinion or whatever, but very rarely did any of us say, this is, and I'm co-opting Amanda's wonderful expression, this is not a hill I'm ready to die on. And it wasn't Andy, Amanda, Jeff, and you haven't piped in on this, felt that there was a lot of great stuff in here that was worth bringing to light. I felt that there was enough that could be applied to more pedestrian dashboards, for lack of a better term. So there was enough in it that I felt, if the 3 of my colleagues feel so strongly about this, I am not going to play a veto card. Not that any of us really have a veto card in this thing, but if somebody was so upset, they might hold up the works. So that's my take on it.
That NASA one, I love it for the same reasons Amanda does. And, this page 323, which breaks down the structure of the dashboard. It's like, what is a dashboard? It's a collection of it's a visual collection of data to facilitate understanding or monitor situations. It doesn't and as the NASA one proves, it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% accurately encoded if the users don't need it to be 100% accurately encoded. So I love it.
Andy, that's a big word. I think they accurately encode the data. I think it lacks visual precision in some spaces where you don't have instant speed to insight. I don't want to point fingers at NASA for not accurately encoding data. I think they're pretty particular about that.
I stand corrected and agree with your correction.
Jeff, do you want to weigh in on this?
I was on board with that one. So I have been involved. I haven't designed a 20-foot dashboard, but I've certainly been witness to it in a dozen companies. And so I can think of here locally, Procter & Gamble had a big business sphere in their executive room that, was above, and they were trying to accurately encode, I'll use Andy's word there, but, visual precision was important for a business dashboard in a visual sphere. It was a giant Spotfire dashboard at the time. But I've been involved in others. I've seen people do that. So I was on board with that one.
Anyone else want to answer about the fun and challenges of writing a book with 4 people? Anything else to add on that? Or should we move on?
It was an uncommonly challenging time for a lot of us personally. So that created more difficulties. That
is true. Yes. Anyway, but we have the book out and we all got through it. Sorry. Anyway, right. Jeff, back to the favorite dashboards. What's your favorite?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by apologizing. I told my crew earlier I did not plan well for the Moray effect. I'm shimmering on camera for everybody, so I'm wearing a Moray effect. I did not mean to do that, but
Jeff, you're glowing.
Oh, there you go. It's hard to pick a favorite. I look through something like that. It's like I like them all for various reasons, which is why they got picked. And so as I'm picking through it, it's like, oh my gosh, how John Hopkins with 1 billion views, or NASA, that project you just saw. That was a $10 million project to get that off the ground. How many are going to be involved in a project that size? The Splash dashboard I built with Chris DiMartini, so I always have a love for that one because I was part of that process. And so there's so many of them that I would say, for a variety of reasons, I'd pick that dashboard. So with that said, I picked the bowling dashboard to talk about something different.
I've got it up and running.
And on the bowling dashboard, I mean, first, Kevin's just an awesome designer. This was built by Kevin Flaherledge. Kevin worked for me for 5 years. And so you could imagine I got to pinch myself sometimes as like the talent we had on our team. But our Tableau server was just filled with amazing dashboards at a very small, fintech company. So I love Kevin's design right off the bat. There's a lot of iteration that went through this, even in, we talk a little bit about process, the iteration of this, even through the writing of the chapter, because his published dashboard that he originally did was not the same as what the dashboard ended up in the book. And so even while we were writing the book, we were iterating through ideas of that. Steve and Kevin spent a lot of time going back and forth on that. And then I just love the use case. It's like, hey, I got this local problem, right? We have this, the smallest problem in the world, right? Not NASA, not COVID internationally. It's a local bowling team, and we just have some data and we want to visualize it. So it's just like that. That's cool to me. That's sort of like the Strava dashboard that Andy did. So
yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to share mine. Let's see.
By the way, as you're doing that, Steve. One of the I did like iterating with Kevin, who's a joy to work with, on hey, what is it that most people, if we were to modify this a bit, more people would be able to apply this to their own work. And we weren't able to do that with a lot of the dashboards because these are dashboards that are out in the wild, public. You're not going to modify the NASA dashboard. Johns Hopkins is not going to modify their COVID dashboard based on some feedback from us. But this one we were able to do that with, and it was fun sparring with such
absolutely
good talented people on stuff.
And we wrote about that in the big book of dashboards and in one of the essays at the back of Dashboards to Deliver. Find and iterate with your friends. Elijah asks, was there a comment about not using marginal histograms for Kevin's dashboard? I will leave that one unanswered, otherwise we will be here all day. DM us and we will and we will tell you the answer privately. All right, my favorite is What about racing? This was from Michael Gathers, and it's a IndyCar racing team sort of performance strategy dashboard. I love this partly because it's about motorsports, but in a similar way to Amanda's love for NASA, this one is really, really filled with process. And one of the things I particularly love about this, a really specific example, is that Michael's first iteration of this the race performance dashboard, which is this one, didn't succeed because he built the dashboard he wanted to build with the data rather than the dashboard the users wanted to see with the data. And in working with Amanda on the framework, the thing Amanda is so brilliant at is users, work with your users, right? It's not rocket science, although in NASA it obviously is rocket science. But I think that's just something that's supremely important. So Michael's exceptional race strategy dashboard is a great example of that. And Amanda, you had something else on this one, right?
Oh, I loved Michael's because I think that it was one of the ones that started from a place of, we heard him talk at Outlier in 2024. And that was where we learned about that dashboard. So I feel like it's a good example of where all of our different dashboards came from different places, some from submissions, some from our own work. And then it is the dashboard of all of them that my 6-year-old son was the most keen to explore and actually sat on the floor looking at with me on publication day. It was so cute. And talking about like how fast the cars are going around the tracks as I explained it. And he has a definite preference for dark mode dashboards. So, I don't think we wrote the book for kids, but it's fun to see the ways in which some of these eye-catching displays grab attention from people outside of our normal audience, which is great.
Indeed. Excellent. Gosh, let's move on. Those are our favorites. If and as you get the book and read the book, share on LinkedIn which ones you love the most or which ones you don't like. Ooh, let's be controversial, but let us know. I don't have the name of the person who did this one.
And because I'm going to read the whole question, Andy.
Yeah, well, I've got it here. Our parent company
says...
don't.
Don't.
They don't care about actual dashboard usage because the primary purpose of the dashboards is for the sales team to show potential clients what kinds of reporting we can provide. Is that an attitude you've come across before? And should I be looking for a new job? That's the whole question, right, Steve?
This is a heavy and freighted question, and I'm never going to, without speaking much more in detail, I would never give advice about whether you should be looking for a new job. And even if I had spoken for a long time, I'd be reluctant to do that. Here's where I think at some point they're going to really have to pay attention to the dashboard, because if people are buying the product based on this being an important component of the product, then at some point there's going to be pushback from customers that this doesn't do what we want. We were under the impression that when we bought your product, the reporting capabilities / dashboards would allow us to do all these different things, and now it doesn't. So I think at some point things will bubble up, and we just need to put a shiny facade on this thing will eventually come back to bite them. And in fact, they'll need something which is really good. Just one more comment on this, which is, if I look at stress-inducing dashboard design, and this continuum, if I'm designing a dashboard for me, a comfort dashboard, as Andy describes the dashboard that he wrote for the book, it just has to please me. If it's for a department and some colleagues, okay, it needs to have a certain affordances and abilities. If it's for the CEO of the company, all right, I'm getting a little more stressed out. If it's a customer-facing dashboard, that's hard. That's a reflection of the company as a whole. Your dashboard is being embedded in a product. It has to be great. It has to deliver. It has to look fantastic. That's the hardest by any means. So the person who posed this question, hopefully they'll realize, oh my God, this is an opportunity for us to shine, and not just, it's just a sales, it's just a shiny little check mark. No, this is an embodiment of what makes us produce great products.
Whew. Amen. And Steve, I'm guessing it was you that removed the person's name from this slide to protect their own anonymity, which is probably a good idea. Because anybody got anything else to add to this? To fight, or should we move on to the next one? I think let's move on to the next one, actually. Right, Steve, you did a legendary job there. Next, Graham. This one's quite similar. Graham asked, how do you make dashboards sticky? I have an analyst that gets frustrated that some dashboards he produces struggle with adoption. Amanda, do you want to tackle adoption and stickiness?
Sure.
Wrote a chapter on that.
We did, yeah.
We did write a chapter on that. But I think that's funny because I think that someone might jump to, let's look at the chapter on adoption and stickiness as the place in which we're going to go ahead and focus our time and attention. But I think getting people to adopt and use dashboards doesn't start by involving them at the end of the design process, right? I think that as we think about what, Andy, I gotta remove your slides, sorry. We go ahead, it's okay. A lot of dashboards that fail often skip the conversations that inform the design. So these are a few slides from our talk that we had last week with Data Camp, and they start here at the development part of our framework. And we deliberately have 3 different pieces before development: Spark, discovery, and prototyping, and a continuous loop around through release, adoption, and enhancement planning. And there's a point across all of this process that we have our users involved in the process. So as we think about what that looks like practically, the spark at the beginning, that also comes from your users. Why does this dashboard exist? Or why do we think our users would be served by it? Not just a spark because we think it would be fun to build. That's a terrible reason to build a dashboard. Then figuring out how we understand our users' needs as part of the discovery process. And we dive into a lot of detail on different ways you can do this in terms of interviews and creating personas, user stories, journey maps. But you want to spend time actually engaging your users and listening to them, especially if you're improving on or redoing a dashboard that already got built, in part because when we look at those different pieces, we want people to feel like they're being heard and their pain points are addressed. Having them go ahead and after we do that, going beyond what and why and how we actually go ahead and use the dashboard is really important. Thinking about not just what we design and how and why we do it. So as you look across this framework, you've got user engagement in defining the spark and thinking about the discovery piece of what they need, in giving you feedback during prototyping on chart types they like less or they like more, because what you prefer as a designer may need a little bit more explanation than others. And then having them be part of the QA and testing process. Engage champions as part of your overall release so that you're not sending out emails from you as the dashboard team necessarily. But for example, when I was working on the executive dashboard for the USAID Office of HIV/AIDS, we had a product owner from the leadership team who was on our team for the duration of the design process. And Ashley was the one who was actually sending out the email communications and announcing the launch and championing the use of the dashboard. And to have people like that involved from the beginning in more formal roles like product owners or in more informal ones as users, and then having them be part of the communication and getting people on board with using it. I mean, we can beat the drum all we want about how great our dashboards are and that you should use them. But at the end of the day, I think you need other people and other users to be the ones who are actually championing and saying, you should use this dashboard and here's why. And here's how I'm using it in my work as a leader inside this organization. I think you could go down a whole different path of stickiness, Andy, and maybe one of you wants to in terms of design decisions that help make dashboards sticky. But I think at the end of the day, the prettiest or ugliest dashboard is going to fail on adoption because you haven't involved your users as partners in the process. And my co-authors know that that is a hill I'm willing to die on.
We all had our hills.
Yeah, I think that's great, Amanda. I think I'm going to keep us moving on because I think there's a few designy things coming up. So,
yeah, do it.
Yeah, I know, Jeff. Sorry, did you want to add anything? No, we're good. All right. Well, I'm going to go show one. Anne asked who designed the cover of the book, which actually ties with the next one. Some chap called Steve Wexler planted this question. Steve asked, why is the cover of the book purple? And Anne asked, who designed the cover of the new book? Steve.
Well, I'll say all right, here.
Sorry.
It's based on, we wanted to have something that looked similar to this. And I would say that Jeff did the first stab of this way back when. And came up with a prototype where there'd be one of the dashboards was muted in the background, and
Ooh.
the lettering, and then the cover designer at Wiley took it to a different level. And initially, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I had thought, oh, look at this. Blue cover, orange spine. Let's just reverse it for the next book. Let's have an orange cover and a blue spine. So they'd look amazing right next to each other. And the orange cover just was, oh my God, this is not working. This is like, do you think Jeff's Moray pattern was was a little off-putting? The orange cover didn't work at all. We tried some various things, and I don't know which of us said, hey, instead of a blue cover, make it a purple cover. And we went with a purple cover. Now, there was a big disagreement this says how to design, develop, and deploy. And originally it said dashboards that work in orange. So it was going to be purple and orange. And I said, blue and orange looks great. Purple and orange, work at New York Times will use that when they're trying to show opposing things without getting politics involved in using blue and red. And we'll just go with purple and orange. And Amanda pointed out that while I was hibernating and becoming old, Halloween had co-opted purple. Along with black and orange, you now have purple and orange. And you said every time you look at the cover or the prototype cover of the book, it just said it screamed Halloween to you.
I feel like we should have polled people, Steve, on didn't we poll people? Didn't we? Someone put out a poll on LinkedIn, one of you, and you were proven wrong that people do associate purple as a Halloween color.
No. I agreed with you. I said that I don't associate it with it, but I have decades removed from when purple became something with Halloween. So I agreed and said, and I remember these words. I said, if you're going to recoil every time you look at the cover of your own book, I am fine not having purple in it. Excuse me, not having orange with the purple cover.
And that's why the book took 2 years to write.
Yep.
Or to complete. Anybody want to add anything to that, or should we stick with some questions?
I'm just happy it wasn't on a different publisher that would have a little animal on the front, and we decided that would probably be the sloth or something. I don't know, the snake.
Yeah, we're going to get the cockroach, by the way, over at that. The one that has the. Oh, I'm sorry. We're only the only animals we have left are vermin.
And again, this is how we ended up taking 2 years to write a book, right, team?
Yeah. All right. Before we move on to the planned ones, Twitter Tree. Formerly now called Xtree, but I'm holding on to Twitter. Twitter Tree asks, how would you advise learners to begin their DataVis journey? I'm going to come to you with this one, Jeff, with your books. Big Book of Dashboards, Steve's The Big Picture, and Dashboards That Deliver. Any other you'd recommend? Jeff?
Any other books?
Advise learners to begin their journey, right? Books or others.
Wow, that's a lot. Storytelling with Data, Stephen Few's books. So Cole Nussbaumer and Affleck's book, Storytelling with Data. Stephen Few's books on dashboard design, and Now You See It, and any of his books, really. I love all of his books. Non-book resources would be do stuff, get practicing. So Makeover Monday that Andy used to participate in, Workout Wednesday to get better at your chops on the tools, and then I love the project Real World Fake Data, where that's just an amazing project. So I would dive into some of the community projects and just practice, build up your portfolio, and try stuff out.
Excellent. Anybody got additions to that? Or are we
list some resources at the end of the book as well? Some recommended reading. So if that went by too quickly, we mentioned a bunch of books and resources in the book itself.
That is marvelous selling and marketing there, Steve. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to buy the books and get the answer to the question.
Well, I feel like we're also adding resources on the website on different spaces. Like, I feel like we've been adding resources. We've got a book list coming, some other good things. So if you're part of or haven't joined our Dashboards fan club, that is also a place to grab free resources. I put a link in the chat if you're looking down there at the chat that has an article I put in Nightingale about getting started in DataViz that has some of those things listed too. That might be helpful.
All right. Let's try these two. I wonder if we've already slightly covered this one, but Rima and VizDJ both asked similar questions. When you design dashboards, how can we align? Oh, no, I know why. There is something else here. When you design dashboards, how can we align what leaders want to see versus what they should see? And how do you build a dashboard users need when they want to ask for something else? I'll start that, but I think, Amanda, you might have a slightly more to add to here. There's a really interesting part in the framework where we talk about who's the expert. And I wish I'd known that when I was building. I wish I'd been able to think about that when I was building dashboards way back in prehistory times at the University of Oxford, in that I was like, I'm an expert in DataViz, therefore I know what should be on this dashboard. I will preach to you that you should never use a pie chart, and your idea of that, crazy layout you want is wrong. Nobody used my dashboards because they were also the experts in their data and their domain, and they kind of knew what they wanted to see. Mm-hmm. And they weren't wrong. But I think what I did in my younger, naive days was be a bit like strutting about like a big peacock, thinking he knew everything. But actually, you know what? They know best too, right? And that doesn't mean one should ever compromise one standard. It's about finding that consensus, about advising on best practice, but really understanding what is it that they want to see, and maybe meeting them where they are too. That's one lesson I took from that. Amanda, I know you've probably got other thoughts on this one as well.
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest ones is listening to people when they're asking for things, and then figuring out how, if they're asking for something that you think is not ideal, I think that the place we make a mistake is when we brush people off and we say, oh, paired column charts. Why would I ever use a paired column chart? Guilty. And so in the book, we actually have a page that we have some spaces that talk about this. But I think that most importantly, being able to show people different examples and help explain to them in kind language, and not language that is condescending, that says, I understand that you are really interested in and really like paired column charts. Like, oh my goodness, like you love a good paired column chart. I see that that's important to you, and I hear you, and that's fine. But what if we looked at other ways to display the same data? So what if we took the same data set and put it into a clustered column chart? Well, what does this let us see? If I'm focusing on patterns within a given category, by not separating the bars out, maybe you can see the patterns a little bit more clearly. Or, oh, do you care about seeing when one category goes above or below the other? Maybe a line chart is better. And I really like the approach of, in the prototyping phase, when you're testing things out, saying, here are some different ways in which we can actually respond to what you're asking for analytically. Like, what do you want to do with the data? And here are a couple different options. What do you think of them? And I've done times where I do this I do a poll at like a conference, and I'll say, which of these three kind of chart types do you like? And maybe my least favorite is the paired column. And almost the entire room picks the paired column chart. But when you ask why, they say, because it's familiar to me, because it's what I'm used to seeing. And so I think we have to coach and bring our users along on that journey and help them see why they might see faster speed to insight with a slightly different chart type, and be mindful of that and kind of what's sticky for them. And that's a big part of that, kind of partnering with your users throughout and seeing them as partners and as you as a thought partner, not them as just like a client that you're dumping a dashboard onto at the end of a design process.
Yeah, there's co-education that's going on with this. Yeah. The big goal is, well, what is the question we're trying to answer? What are we trying to accomplish here? Yeah. And let's look at several different ways of doing this, as Amanda suggested, and they may suddenly be hip to a chart they've never seen before. You've made them very comfortable in how to read it, and you're working with them. It's not like, well, I want my idea. It's, no, that's better. Yeah, I can see that faster. Great.
And if someone wants 20 pie charts, I think it's also on us to talk and explain a little bit of the science behind why that might not work as well. And I have some clients who just adore the number of links I send to them.
That's great. Jeff, did you have anything to add to that? Or should we move?
I think we have lots more questions here.
We do indeed. All right. Where's my add stage button gone? There it is. All right. I've got the wrong name on here. This wasn't Viz DJ. This was Melissa Knudsen. Thank you for the question, Melissa. But what are your recommendations for balancing a full-time job that provides little time for professional development, personal life, and still having time to build a respectable Tableau public portfolio? I'll say one thing here on a personal answer. It took me, early in my days of sort of building my personal Tableau brand before I joined Tableau, and then sort of, as to when I joined Tableau. And then as I joined Tableau and we were building that community, it was like, build your portfolio in your spare time, blah, 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 blah. And then it took me a long time to realize that, well, I have a lot of privilege to be able to do that, in that I've got a very supportive family. So I have that spare time to do this. And I didn't recognize how important that, unknown privilege was to enable me to do that. Another time that really came home to me was I was doing a brain date at Tableau Conference 2019, and I'd 4 pretty young people with 2 of us who were evangelists, and it was how to be an evangelist. And a young woman asked us, it's like, how do you ask this question that we've been asked? It's like, you do all this, and how do you do it? And I said, and one thing I said there, I was like, well, you can protect you. Nobody's telling you. You don't have to do all of this stuff. You don't. There's no obligation to do all this stuff in your spare time. And I remember, what I remember there was the sense of palpable relief on that person's face, because they felt under so much pressure that they'd been told by their organization, it's like, you've got to be out there. You've got to be out there pushing yourself. And, so she saw relief there, but then she still had this desire to be an evangelist. I think it's a really hard balance. So I can only say I had to recognize the privilege I had to enable me to do that, which isn't a complete answer to the question. But that's one of the experiences I've come to realize as I've gotten older, the benefits I had. Anybody else want to tackle this one? Steve.
Please give yourself a break. I wrote a blog post about this a while back. You can go to Data Revelations and just look up "give yourself a break." But there's so many different tools and so many different initiatives, and you're seeing all this amazing work that all these other people are doing, and just make your goal to be a little better as you go along. Not to be, oh my God, I'm going to have all these likes and all these views and I'm going to do this, etc. But give yourself a break.
That's all good advice. I guess I would add is there a way to do both? So, I always suggest to students and folks to visualize things that are meaningful to them in their life. So, visualizing your personal data, like Andy's Strava dashboard, right? It's like, well, that's a thing he's doing already. And so it helps him potentially in his personal life so you're kind of combining things, right? Small chunks, trying to just put an hour aside once a week just to spend on something. I'm going to learn a new thing, and just, like Steve said, just little by little. So just trying to devote an hour here somewhere. You said full-time job. So the other thing is, okay, well, talk to your employer too. Isn't you getting better helping them? So could you get an hour of, your work time on a Friday? Could you get them to say, hey, Friday learning hour or something, and, maybe get some work time devoted to learning a new thing that should benefit them? I mean, that was a big part of what I did when I led a team. I was very much in, I had people say, well, the stuff they're doing on their personal portfolio, does that help us at our office? And I'm like, absolutely. The better they get, at doing this stuff on their own, they're going to bring those learnings back into the office. So those are all things I would explore in some fashion, but balance it's a tough one for a lot of folks, I know.
Yeah.
Can I give Amanda. 2 very quick suggestions from the perspective of someone who I feel like, I think there's a lot of pressure to think about how you compete with all of the big voices that are out there. And I would ask that whoever asked this question, or if you're thinking about it, what's your goal? Is your goal to be a recognized expert and thought leader on a certain technology or topic, so content matters? Or is your goal to do incremental self-improvement? Or is your goal to get a new job because your current job doesn't have data visualization as a big part of it? In which case, building a portfolio is actually really important. But if you're building that portfolio, think about the ways in which you can showcase to employers not just your design skills, but your thinking skills. So I would much rather, when I was doing hiring, if you're in the job seeking market, I would much rather see a person's website that has 3 different portfolio projects that describe their thinking process and show me their iterations than seeing a Tableau public portfolio with 100 different Makeover Mondays on it. Because I want to understand how you think and why you make decisions. I don't just want to see that you can build something inside of a tool. And so focus on quality over quantity if you're time constrained is one piece of it, and make sure that what you're doing is furthering what your goal is, not just what your perceived kind of what you should be doing in this marketplace looks like.
I don't mind the Makeover Monday portfolios of folks because it helps me understand that they know the tool and they know how to think. One suggestion there would be is you can't take your work stuff and put them on public. So I would encourage people to anonymize the data and just go dummy up data and show a work dashboard with dummy data. So you did all the work. You spent 12 hours building it, at the office. To spend an hour just dummying up some data and putting the same dashboard out there in some other form, right? That could be useful too.
Excellent. Well, hopefully that's helped. It's a complicated question, I think. So thank you for that question. Right. Let's do 3 rapid fire ones. Steve, Jeff, really quickly. Powerful tools and software for preparing dashboards. You have 10
I'm
seconds.
a Tableau guy. Canva, Figma, PowerPoint, Tableau, Power BI. I'm not going to say Excel for powerful. Sorry. Okay, that's what I got.
That's good. Yeah, brilliant. Steve, does the book include a chapter about analyzing survey data with Tableau?
No.
Go on, Steve. What if they want?
I'm sorry.
information on
Okay, I
survey
thought we were
data?
trying to move quickly. through
I
stuff.
know, but I'm giving you a chance to plug something.
All right, thank you. And that is all right. People know that that's my little subspecialty or niche within Tableau. No, there isn't anything specific about that. There are some things related to that in the big book of dashboards, but if you just want to get up to speed quickly, go to datarevelations.com, look at the visualizing survey data, and download the Tableau white paper on visualizing survey data.
All right.
And that will jumpstart you.
All right, that was more than 10 seconds. Is there but I invited it, so it's my fault. Is there a physical and digital bundle? No, there isn't. There is the physical book. I believe you can buy an electronic version of the book, but I would recommend against it because it's a book. It's a book you want to be flicking through, and ebooks don't encourage flicking and post-its and bookmarks, and the book will just look better when it's dog-eared. It'll have life.
But if you are in an international market where you can't easily get physical books, the digital book looks just like our actual book. I had someone from Thailand ask me about it. So if you're somewhere in a developing country and you can't get the book, the ebook is available.
Good.
Have any of us checked out the ebook yet to make sure that they did it right?
Let's not talk about that now, Steve.
That's
Okay.
out of scope of chat. Amanda, has anybody spoken to colleges, universities about using this as a textbook?
Oh, I want to punt that over to Jeff. He's the
Jeff.
That's on my to-do list, unfortunately, and I have not checked that off my list yet.
If there are any professors or deans or people who know professors or deans or lecturers or course developers, we'd love this to be.
But we will say, I mean, it's on the back of the book that Steve Francaneri is using as his new textbook at Kellogg in his class on dashboards at Northwestern's Business School. So yes, we do have at least one who is adopting it, but would love to see more. So reach out to us if you've got questions about resources.
Okay, they were rapid fire. Here's one that could take a whole other hour. Gopal ask, with generative BI, I assume you mean generative AI, or maybe you mean generative BI actually, coming into the picture in our organizations, every leader is asking, or I can imagine the line, we don't need any dashboards anymore because we've got natural language Q&A systems that can replace them all. Please advise generative AI in place of a dashboard. Jeff.
We do talk about this in the book. I'm a big AI fan. I'm all in on AI. I think it's world changing. It's paradigm shifting here. That said, we got to be really careful about bringing this in our organizations. Where's our proprietary data going? Do we have the proper governance? If you got bad data in to your dashboard, if you put bad data in a dashboard, you get a bad answer. Well, if you put bad data in an AI system, you get the same bad answer, just faster. So I think all of those things apply. And there's just the systems are so complicated and non-trivial to set up and manage and monitor and all of that. That we have not figured that out yet, right? Are you going with Copilot? Are you going to use ChatGPT? You're going to use Gemini? Are you going to use your own Llama model and build it on-prem and all of the things that comes with, or using Databricks, right? And so all of those things have to be answered. That is an hour-long conversation and debate we could all have about the future of AI and what that looks like. I'm reluctant to say, hey, just go ask an AI a simple question and get a simple answer.
I'll add, we have spent many hours behind the scenes having that debate. I'll add, when I'm driving my car, I don't ask, hey car, how fast am I going? Hey car, how much petrol have I got left? Right? I need that information at a glance. And if I have to wait for an AI to process that, that's clearly stupid, right? That's an example where dashboards are vital. Rapid answers to oft answered questions. ThoughtSpot, they're a great company. Their new Spotter tool is really good. It's a natural language exploratory analytics tool. I really like it. But ThoughtSpot, they have dashboards are dead campaign. You go to their homepage, and what do you do? What does it say you do with the chart that you want to save? It says when you find a chart you want to save it to a live board. What's a live board? That's what we call a dashboard, right? Because they recognize that even though dashboards are dead, people still need to save things that they want to monitor and see every day, right? When I look at my Apple Watch or my Fitbit, I don't want to ask it how many steps I've done and wait 20 seconds. I just want to see how many steps I've done. So in my opinion, the exploratory side, natural language has a place. It's a really exciting place, but it doesn't replace all the needs for dashboards. It probably replaces a few, but certainly not all of them.
If your data governance is absolutely shot right now, it's not going to help anything. And you add in the fact that if 5 different teams within your organization all define conversion rate differently, having an AI tool that reads conversion rate on your data table, but it's defined 5 different ways because there's no good documentation, it's just going to cause more pain and suffering as the AI tools give you prettier, more eloquent outputs. So be mindful of the data governance and semantic layer challenges that come with using AI tools.
At Salesforce towards the end, I had a project. We need a dashboard. Use AI, Dandy, to build this dashboard. And I'm like, okay, but then some of the data was in a weird spreadsheet. Some of it was on one platform. Some of it was on another. I had to do broadcast messages across Slack to get the password to the email to the data set. And it's like, well, that's a reality. Data is a mess. Steve, do you want to add anything to that one? Or
no.
All right. In which case, that was our final Ask Us Anything. So unless I see any questions appear in the comments in the next minute, I'm going to start wrapping up Chart Chat 63. Can you believe we've done 63 of these? What have we got? Who wants to talk about next month's Chart Chat? I will. We mentioned some of our favorite books. Well, simultaneously on September the 23rd, Cole and the team at Storytelling with Data, Mike Cisneros and Alex Velez, they published this really cool book of makeovers before and after. So we're going to have a chart chat with them next month. That's on October the 30th. I did say we're going to cosplay our favorite dashboards from Big Book from Dashboards That Deliver. You'll have to tune in to see whether we live up to that promise. Amanda, fan club.
Oh, it's very exciting. So we do not want to gatekeep all of our cool resources that we have. And we thought that putting more guides and facilitation resources and interview question lists into an almost 500-page book was not going to make Wiley happy and probably not going to make you happy either. So our new Dashboards Fan Club is a microsite within our website that allows you to create one single login, and you'll have access to the growing repository of different tools, resources, and templates, many of which are just linked Google files that you're able to copy, repurpose, and use in your own dashboard design processes. So we hope that helps you demystify some of the process pieces and go ahead and adopt some of the Dashboard That Deliver framework in your own work.
Awesome. Go check it out. Amanda, it's more of
and
you.
workshop, yes. And if you want to demystify things further, but in person with me, hanging out near DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., I will be there next week, the 7th and the 8th, doing a 2-day workshop on designing dashboards that deliver. There's still some spots available. Would love to see you join. If you use the code newsletter, you get $100 off the registration. And I'll put a note into the chat box below in case anyone is in the D.C. area and wants to join.
Also, Jeff and I got a little preview of this last week, and if the preview is anything like what you're delivering next week, it is outstanding. So take advantage of this. Great opportunity to do something in person with a truly great facilitator and teacher.
Thank you.
Yes, agreed. Sarah, thank you for the kind words. That's very kind. Hopefully lots of you will join and get the stuff as we add. And with that, we will say that this should say dashboardsthatdeliver.com. You can get there anyway, but
go back to 6. Go back to slide 6.
Slide 6.
Just go back 2 slides. Just go back to the dashboard. It's all right there.
This is what it's like writing a book, everybody. I try and do something and they all tell me how to do it differently. I love my authors. It's been a long day here in London. Dashboardsthatdeliver.com. We've got, if you want to find out what else we're doing, the 4 of us are all over the place talking about the book and sharing ideas. I'm heading from here to an event in London, for example. But check out dashboardsthatdeliver.com. I now need to go to an outro slide. Hey, fellow, which is the best outro slide to go to? I'm just going to go to slide 1. There you go. I love you all, authors. And I will say, with that, thanks so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who submitted a question. It was really good fun delving into the ones you submitted. If we didn't ask one of the questions you submitted, you get in touch with us on LinkedIn. We can answer it there for you. But with that, now I'll go. We will say farewell until the next time, which I believe is October the 30th. If you bought the book, please put a review on Amazon, and we will see you next time. Take care.